You're looking at two separate briskets. One is choice grade, one is prime grade. We're going to prep them the same way, we're going to cook them the same way, and we're going to see how they turn out. I think the results are incredibly interesting. Stay tuned. So here's our two briskets. This is our choice brisket, and this is our prime brisket. The first thing I want you to notice is the color. There's a major color difference in this prime brisket and this choice brisket. It's picked up at an Acme grocery store, and it was about $6.26 per pound, coming in just under 7 pounds. The prime brisket, and you can see a uniformity to the grain. It's just a much better looking piece of meat. I picked this up at the Butcher Block, which is a break-off company of Hickman's Meat Market, which is where I purchase most of my meat. And it was picked up for $7.80 per pound, just about exactly 7 pounds. Here you can see the fat cap side. Most of the trimming has been done to the prime brisket. We are going to take off just a little bit. On the choice brisket, no trimming has really been done. They offered to trim it for me. And no offense to your chain grocery store butchers, I don't have anything against them at all. I felt more comfortable with my trimming it. I wanted to bring it home and do it myself. Prime brisket is, I'm just gonna take some of the hard fat off, which right here is a hard fat. And I really wanna keep these briskets as similar as possible in weight. And also, you know, I want to try to make sure that the fat cap is about the same thickness. I want them to cook as similar as possible. The rest of this fat cap is pretty good. It's about 1/4 inch. This is where I want it. There's no other hard fat cap on here. There's really nothing I want to do on this side. What I do want to do is the same thing I do with all briskets, and that's cut the tip right here, and that'll show me where to do my slices when this is done. The grain is much harder to determine once this brisket is finished. All right, over to our choice brisket. We have a lot more work to do on this. There's a lot of thick fat on this, and we got to take a lot of that off. I'm gonna trim this edge right here and cut this brown part off. And we're gonna take some of this off because I want that rub to really be able to penetrate here. You see how you can take that knife, kind of bend up on it, so you can just get the fat that you're looking at. That's that semi-stiff part. And do the same thing to finish. Is kind of where I want my slices, so I'm just gonna try to trim this part right there. That's gonna tell me where my slices go. The next step is to inject them. What I'm injecting with is beef broth, about 4 tablespoons of butter, and a little bit of my rub, which is Oak Ridge Black Ops brisket rub. I'm using my Printable injector, and I'll put the link up in the top right, but I'm using the nozzle that has 3 holes on each side. Now we have them injected, it's time to go ahead and put our rub on. We're using Oak Ridge Black Ops brisket rub on both of them. It's the first time I've ever used it, but I've heard a lot of good things about it. So we're gonna give it a shot. It's got sea salt, chilies, garlic, black and white pepper, onion, sugar, coriander, and some coffee, which I'm pretty excited about. So we're gonna go ahead and coat these guys pretty liberally. And I always inject first, because if you put the rub on first, usually you'll kind of wash the rub off with your injection. And what I'm gonna do when I'm done with this is I'm gonna put them in wrap and let them sit in the refrigerator for about 12 hours. And then we'll get them on the smoker. That's it. It's 11 o'clock at night. This is gonna be an overnight smoke. We have the Rectech fired up at 225 degrees. For those of you that don't know, the Rectech is a pellet grill. The Rectech is an amazing, reliable, consistent grill, and that's why I love it so much. So on the left, we have our Choice Brisket. And on the right, we have our Prime Brisket. In the back, I have a smoker tube rolling. It's gonna give us lots of wonderful smoke. Water pan's full. Plan on cooking low and slow all night long. And we'll see where we fall as far as temperature in the morning. All right, so it's in the high 20s this morning. And they have been cooking for 7.5 hours. Let's get a peek. Oh, yes. That's our Choice. That's our Prime. So now let's get a look at temps. My guess is the Prime is a little higher. Prime meat just seems to cook a little faster. Okay, right there we're 168. Quite a bit of resistance, 158. Okay, so it looks like we're just into the stall in there. Again, quite a bit of resistance. Over here we're only 142. Okay. I have the color I'm looking for. So I think I'm gonna wrap them. I think that's a good color. I think it's time to wrap them. We're gonna take the injection that we used, and I put that in the refrigerator. So the butter that was in the injection, you're gonna see is kind of some of that guy there on there. Take our toothpick. We're gonna wrap it tight. Only do one layer. That's so the bark will continue to develop. And we'll do the same thing to the Choice Brisket. All right, so I've been checking temps and we're at 13 hours. I think we're gonna be real close. This is our Choice Brisket. And mainly what I do with a brisket is I'm getting up to about 195. And once I get to 195, then I'm going off of the feel of the brisket rather than the temperature. So I'm looking for once I get through the paper, I'm looking for like smooth like butter, and that's what it is. And right there it's 204 through the paper. Oh my gosh, that's just like butter. 206. Just like butter. 202, that brisket's done. This is our Prime Brisket. Oh, wow, yeah. Little bit of resistance right there. 199. $199. $201. Little bit. This was not quite as tender. I'm gonna leave that one on for another probably 15-20 minutes. I'm gonna pull the Choice. Prime brisket cooked for about a half hour longer. Our Choice brisket was ready about 13 hours. Wow. Let's go ahead and unwrap this prime brisket. Oh, wow. This is a Choice brisket. We're gonna cut a little slice off of here first. See how that knife just fell through there? Wow. It's juicy. I tell you the truth, I'm pretty surprised for a Choice brisket. It's got some nice juice to it. And that is just... Look at that. Let's do a little pull test on it. I mean, that's absolutely, for a Choice, that's absolutely phenomenal for a Choice brisket. If you remember, I snipped the end of this to remind me where to cut across the grain. Woo! You see that? You see how it just fell through there? Now it's a combination of the brisket and the knife, but that was nice. Beautiful smoke ring. We have a beautiful smoke ring on both briskets. Pull test. So there you are, the Choice brisket and the Prime brisket. Choice is on the left, Prime is on the right. And the results are kind of surprising to me. I'm going to put them somewhat equal, and maybe the Choice a little bit better. Now, you know, this Choice brisket may be an anomaly.
And in my experience, in my conversations with some butchers, sometimes some grocery store selections, the quality of meat isn't always as labeled, and that can be it can be a grade up, and sometimes it can be a grade down. And I am almost prone to believe that this labeled choice brisket here is actually a prime grade brisket, because it is absolutely juicy and tender. I mean, it's about as good as it can get as far as a brisket gets, until you get into some maybe wagyu. The prime brisket, I took it off at what I thought was tender. It was probing tender. They both were about 204, 205 degrees. I don't know. Maybe I took it off just a hair too soon. That's possible. You could see that it wasn't as tender from the, it wasn't bending around my finger as easily as this choice brisket. So, that may be something to do with the fact that I pulled it off too soon, or not. It's hard to tell. It really is. So the lesson that I'm going to take from this cook is, yes, in my experience, it's usually better to spend the extra money and get the prime grade brisket. However, it's not necessary as long as you cook it perfectly and you get a little bit lucky maybe and come up with a good quality choice brisket. So look that choice brisket over, and if it looks like it's a nice quality choice brisket, maybe you're going to get lucky and end up with something like this. And if you do, cook it perfectly, and you're going to come out with a really incredible piece of barbecue. But just always remember, the brisket is the holy grail barbecue, and it can be tricky sometimes. So, it's not always easy to wrap your head around the results. But the best thing to do is take each cook one at a time, learn your lessons, and go on. But most importantly, enjoy that good brisket along the way.
I really appreciate you sticking around to watch the whole video. Check out these other videos over here. You may very well be interested in those also. The inspiration behind the videos is your feedback. And the best way to give me your feedback is to hit the like button down below. Most importantly, hit the subscribe button down below. And you can also leave comments. I can't wait to see you next time.